NewsX World. Now we start this hour with breaking news coming in from Iran. New wave of loud blasts were heard in Doha for a second day. This comes as witnesses claim hearing several loud bangs heard in Dubai as well. As of yet, we are still waiting for more details on the blasts as situation in the Middle East unfolds. Now we have a breaking news coming in from Iran. A crowd in southern Iran was seen toppling a statue of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in the city of Gale Dar amid widespread reactions after reports of his death in US-Israeli strikes. Now we are in breaking news from Iran. Footage shows people pulling down the monument, a symbolic act reflecting deep public sentiment following the seismic developments in Iran. Now we welcome Professor Rohan Gunratna. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Singapore. Thank you very much, Professor Gunratna, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this breaking news that has started coming in since yesterday, what was your initial reaction? And now that we see the fallout of it's not only Israel and Iran, it's of course there are reports from Dubai, from Qatar, from Bahrain, Iraq. Is this a regional fallout now? Is this a spillover that we're seeing of this conflict?
Asuma, what happened was that the Iranian regime pledged that this will be a regional war, and then they attacked Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates. And as a result, the regional countries now are very disappointed with Iran, and they are cooperating and collaborating with the United States and Israel. They also do not want the current clerical regime that was led by Ayatollah Khamenei to continue. So there is a lot of support from the Middle East and also from within Iran. As you rightly said, we have now seen in the last few hours very significant activity by the protesters to destroy or vandalize those statues and those banners that promote the Ayatollahs. And we have seen also women who have removed their headscarf and they have started to dance on the streets. But that doesn't mean that every Iranian is supporting the change. There are also places where they are weeping for Ayatollah Khamenei, who was killed, and also 30 other leaders of the regime. But what we must understand is that the deep state of Iran, that is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Basji forces that attacked the protesters, they are still very much intact. So I think that it will take at least another week for there to be a capitulation of the Tehran regime. Still, those leaders that work with Ayatollah Khamenei, they are still in power, they are still intact, although 30 of very important leaders have been killed in the US, especially in the Israeli strikes.
Thank you for sharing that. And since we both know that we've discussed this many times about the negotiations that were ongoing, I was, of course, blindsided by the negotiation, being hopeful that there will be diplomacy and de-escalation. What's your take? Is this an escalation, and do you think the de-escalation will follow, or what was the state of the negotiation? Was it just a cover-up from your analysis?
Negotiations were primarily an attempt by the United States to curb and dismantle 3 programs by Iran. One is the fissile program, their ambition to make a functional nuclear weapon because they had enriched uranium. Second is, of course, the missile program, which we have all seen the devastation it has caused. And the third is, of course, Iran's role as a supporter of terrorist groups around the world. And of course, the Iranian leadership, they were playing for time because by that time, the United States has moved a third of its navy, a third of its air assets to the Middle East. And they were planning to strike Iran. So the negotiations were never serious on the part of Iran. It was a ploy to continue with their nuclear program, their missile program, and their proxy program to support terrorist groups that would create a ring of fire around Israel and create encirclements around Saudi Arabia and other countries that were not with Iran. So I think that the diplomatic negotiations eclipsed and we saw military action because the United States perceived that the Iranians were just playing for time.
And how do you analyze the trust level of sorry, let me come back to you, Professor, after taking a breaking. We have another breaking news coming in from Qatar. Qatar's Ministry of Interior has confirmed that 16 people have been injured following Iranian attacks. The latest update reports 8 more injuries. Adding to the earlier toll, the ministry has also noted limited material damage in various areas in Qatar. Tensions continue to rise in the region as the aftermath of the strikes unfolds. Now we welcome back Professor Rohan Gunratna. Thank you very much, Professor, for staying with us. So after the negotiations, which of course we saw it being junked, so how do you analyze the trust level of Middle Eastern countries and Middle Eastern countries towards US, as US was supposed to bring peace to the Middle East, right? With the Board of Peace also, that a lot of countries, especially in the Middle East, were so enthusiastic or were eager to join, and they've already joined, and I'm not sure if they've already paid the initial fee of joining, but of course we saw a lot of Middle Eastern countries being hopeful about the Board of Peace. How do you analyze the trust level now?
Most of the Middle East countries are opposed to the Iranian regime. And most of the Middle Eastern countries privately encourage the United States to strike and dismantle the regime and to bring about a government that will not threaten the Middle East. But publicly, many countries in the Middle East told different stories because of the public, what is called the street in the Middle East that is very anti-Israeli and anti-US. But I believe that without dismantling the Ayatollah regime in Iran, it is impossible for there to be a peace because the Iranians were building both missiles, cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, as well as, of course, sponsoring terrorist groups in addition to building a functional nuclear weapon. And that would have resulted in a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. That would have resulted in threatening the countries in the Middle East with the missiles, as we have seen recently. And also, of course, Iran's steadfast support for so many terrorist proxies, from Hezbollah to Ansarullah to Hashd-e-Shaabi in Iraq and various other groups. So I believe that eventually there will be peace in the Middle East because Middle Easterners are very tired of terrorist activity, both state-sponsored and otherwise. So the change in regime in Iran is something that is going to help the Middle East to be more stable, and certainly that will bring prosperity to the region.
Thank you for highlighting that, Professor Gunratna. Now we have another breaking news coming in from Qatar. Qatar's defense ministry has reported that it has intercepted successive waves of 65 ballistic missiles and 12 drones launched from Iran at targets in Qatar.